So somebody ran into me and said, we're having former Vice President Nixon come in, and we have Little Egypt, the belly dancer, in the green room with a boa constrictor. So I said, put one of them in my office. And they ended up putting Nixon in my office. And I didn't want to scare the boa constrictor or Nixon, so I decided I had to keep them apart. I don't think Nixon ever knew he was on the same show with a boa constrictor until maybe a week later somebody told him. And a belly dancer, by the way. Little Egypt was a famous belly dancer. Anyway, I went back to my office. There's Nixon sitting there, and he's grumbling about, you know, it's too bad a guy has to rely on a gimmick to get elected in this country, which was television. And I said, all of 27 years old, if you think television's a gimmick, you're going to lose again.
That is Roger Ailes in 2001, sharing a turning point in his life. For nearly 50 years, he has been a power play in American media and politics. He is best known as the chairman and CEO of Fox News Channel. Now, there is a new unauthorized biography which explores his career and influence. It is called The Loudest Voice in the Room: How the Brilliant, Bombastic Roger Ailes Built Fox News and Divided a Country. Gabriel Sherman is the author. He's here for his first television interview. We're pleased to have him. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. You know, I love that clip. I'm so glad you started with that, because that story is a classic Ailes story.
And you suggest in the book that it has been...
It's an amazing story because he's recounted it time and again, and I went back and in the course of interviewing more than 600 people for this book, I've learned that story, it's a formative time in his life, but it did not happen as he said it happened. There was no belly dancer, there was no snake on the set of the Mike Douglas show. And yet it's a wonderful cocktail party story that shows Roger Ailes' unrivaled ability to be a myth maker.
And he did go to work for Richard Nixon.
Yes, and it was a formative time. He wanted to work for Nixon. He wanted to become a media strategist.
Okay. When I read a biography, I want to know several things. Who is it? You know, why do they matter? Why should I care? What do I learn new about this person? But most importantly, what makes them who they are? What makes Roger Ailes Roger Ailes?
You know, Charlie, he is an American icon. It's a reporter's dream to write this book. He is the most unexplored subject, the most powerful man in America that most Americans don't know, but they should. You know, he controls the American news agenda, and he is an unexplored subject. He is like Citizen Kane meets P.T. Barnum. He is a larger-than-life character. He controls the most powerful cable news network that's ratings surpass its rivals combined, and when he puts something on air, it drives the agenda.
He is a brilliant television executive,
yes,
whatever your political affiliation is. But he's also, you write about his desire to influence national politics.
Yes.
You quote him telling Fox executives in 2010, "I want to elect the next president." So what did he do to try and make that happen?
Well, Roger Ailes has been influencing politics for 3 decades, whether as a political consultant or as a TV news executive. And he knows how to program television to drive a message. Now, in the 2012 cycle, with Mitt Romney, his strategy was, rather than trying to build Romney up, it was an attack strategy against President Barack Obama, because he knew that Romney was lukewarm, had a lukewarm support amongst the conservative base, but Obama was obviously a very ripe target. And if you look at Fox's programming throughout the last election cycle, Ailes was driving that message through the Fast and Furious scandal, through Benghazi, through the green energy scandals. You know, every day Fox was driving that message, which kept the base animated and ready to turn out for Romney. Ultimately, it didn't work, and that's where you see some of the tension between television and politics are 2 different, separate things.
Evidently, Roger Ailes has expressed some concern. You did a whole lot of interviews,
yes,
over, what, 1,000
more than
interviews?
600.
600
yes.
interviews.
Talked to his brother. I consulted documents, presidential memos, archival research, yes.
He has expressed some concern over dwelling into his son, his only son, and his family and his wife, who's, I guess, is a newspaper
Charlie, you know,
publisher.
Roger Ailes is an American icon, and Fox News is an expression of his worldview. The entire institution, everything that winds up on the screen starts with Roger Ailes. It is his vision. The entire company revolves around how he thinks. And so to understand Fox and how it has changed America, you have to understand the man. And he has this incredible story from growing up in a factory town in Ohio to rising to the highest corridors of power in America. He was a counselor to presidents, corporate chieftains. He's the most powerful cable news executive. He made $30 million last year. So this man has changed the country, and my book really makes an attempt to show how his career has unfolded.
But answer your critics. We just showed this. They're saying that Random House did not fact-check the book with them, that you're a younger, liberal-leaning journalist.
Well, I'm a media reporter. I approach stories. I've covered the New York Times, the Washington Post. I've covered CBS, NBC. You know, Roger Ailes is the biggest media story there is. So this was a great story for me to dive into. You know, in terms of fact-checking, the book was fact-checked with 2 professional fact-checkers. More than 2,000 hours of checking went into vetting the manuscript. I reached out to Roger Ailes more than a dozen times for comment. He ultimately decided not to, but that is revealing of how control and his desire to control his story makes him such a great image maker.
Let Roger Ailes or Fox people see the book for fact-checking purposes?
Oh, because, you know, Charlie, as journalism works, I would never turn over a manuscript before publication. I gave them every opportunity to participate. Roger Ailes decided not to. And when people see the book, no one has read the book. When they see it, they will see that it is a measured, deep, probing, nuanced account of his career.
But you say he's divided a country.
Yes, he has.
How?
Because his ability to drive a message, he has an unrivaled ability to know what resonates with a certain audience. You know, he comes from a blue-collar factory town in Ohio.
So what's the message that divides the country?
He speaks to that part of America that feels left behind by the culture. You know, it's the old Nixon silent majority, which is what was his formative experience.
Gabriel Sherman, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
The loudest voice in the room goes on sale Tuesday.